The Teardrop Zero is another example of why more gym gear companies need to test the waters of creating barefoot shoes. Designed with the help of Squat University, the Drop Zero is flat, flexible, grippy, minimal, and wide. These are all great things to control for when optimizing weightlifting biomechanics, but here's a question. Shouldn't all shoes be like this? We're going to talk about our likes and dislikes of the Drop Zero and let you know what we think overall of the first tier sports barefoot shoe. As always, there are timestamps down in the description if you want to jump around to different parts of the video, but for now, let's send things over to Eric to hear what he likes about the shoe.
Alright, so full disclosure here, Chris is way more of a gym rat than I am. So if you want an actual lifter's perspective on the shoe, then skip ahead to what he has to say. For my likes, I have used it in the gym. I do find it to be a really, really great gym shoe, and a big part of that is the grip that it has on the bottom. But it's also a comfortable shoe to wear because of the barefoot qualities that it has. So it has a very anatomical foot shape design to it with a pretty wide toe box that fits my foot just fine. It is zero drop and it is very flexible, so they don't skimp on the barefoot features of the shoe, which is a thing that I really, really like. And then even with this kind of camo and orange colorway that I picked up, I think that it has a lot of good casual appeal to it as well. It's definitely a shoe that if you're looking for a barefoot dedicated gym shoe, obviously it's going to have you covered there, and Chris will talk more about that, but I think that you can wear it outside of the gym too. Now that's for the knit model. As far as the strapped models go, I couldn't say the same thing. These things with the Velcro straps on them would look a little bit goofy in more casual situations, but this one does have its benefits, and again, Chris will talk more to those in the gym. But I like the barefoot qualities that it has, especially with the knit one. I like the versatility that it has as an everyday shoe as well. It's pretty cool looking. And the last like that I'll say is I like the material that it's made out of. This is a really good rubber outsole that's very sticky, and the knit upper is very soft and it's very breathable. It's just a nice material to put on your foot. It's like wearing a sock, but it's more secured to your foot and obviously offers more protection, but it's breathable, it's nice and soft. I like the materials that the shoe's made out of.
The first like I want to bring up of the Teardrop Zero that I have is I love that we have two different models. They are very purpose-built for two kind of separate areas, in my opinion. The strapped model that has a little bit more TPU wrapping it, plus the straps themselves, it's going to be a little bit more supportive for moves like deadlifts and back squats, where you may want a little bit more rigidity for your feet as you're pushing through the floor. Moving over to the knit model, this is going to be better for more dynamic movements where you're moving around and your foot needs to bend and twist, things like reverse lunges and other movements like that. Now, if I were to pick one of these for versatility reasons, something that could do all of those things well, I'd definitely go with the knit model specifically. Next, I want to touch on how the stack height is really nice for running. So for me, the perfect running stack height is somewhere around 10 millimeters. We experienced that with the Bahe Revive. This guy comes in at 9 millimeters. So for the knit model specifically, which breathes really well, super flexible, lets your foot do what it's supposed to do, that 9 millimeter stack height is going to be really nice for running. I did do some running in the strapped model just to see what it was like. Definitely not my favorite shoe for running because of that extra rigidity and how awkward the shoe feels when it bends. The knit model is definitely going to be my go-to when it comes to being more versatile for lifting and for running. The last thing I want to bring up is how extremely grippy both of these shoes are, but with the knit model adding in how flexible it is. So they're grippy and they're flexible, which is a fantastic combination for the gym. So many movements are great in this shoe, but looking past the gym, looking at it as just a barefoot shoe, I think that the knit model especially is just really nice in general. If you're looking for something that is really wide, zero drop, very minimal, if you take out the insole, which is 4 millimeters, then you have a 5 millimeter stack height, which is really good for ground feel. Put that insole back in, great for running. So much versatility built into this guy from all of the different angles that Tier came at it with. Tier is a solid company. They've been around for a good long time and they have a track record of making fantastic products. So you know that this thing is probably going to have good longevity. It's backed up with the name that's on the tongue there. With my likes out of the way, it's time for us to get into our dislikes. So I'm going to pass things back over to Eric, but first we want to mention some affiliates. Are you looking to take your barefoot shoe experience to another level? Then you're going to need a solid pair of toe socks that lets you take advantage of all that toe box. We love Creeper's Toe Socks, a sock that beat out 6 other toe sock brands in a comparison video we did that you can see through the card up in the corner. Whether it's cold or hot, whether you're hiking, running, or lounging, Creeper's Toe Socks will ensure that your feet stay comfy, dry, and healthy. If you're interested in checking out Creepers, head down to the link in the description and use our discount code to save yourself 15% off at checkout. Hats are great, until you need to pack them, wash them, or get them wet. Getaway Hats solves all of these problems. Flexible, packable, and machine washable, Getaway Hats can go anywhere with you, even if you're not wearing them. And if you get them nasty, just throw them in the wash. I used to always buy 2 hats, one nice hat and one nasty hat. With Getaway Hats, you have one hat to rule them all. Check them out at the link below.
Alright, so when it comes to my dislikes of the shoe, the biggest thing for me is where this TPU has been placed and the shape that it has. So if you look at it really closely there, it's kind of pointed at the end of the laces, and the way that my foot flexes, those points would dig right into the top of my foot. Now over time that's broken in and it's gotten more pliable and I don't notice it as much anymore. So if you pick up these shoes and that's something that you experience, it does get better, but it is something that, despite all the comfort that the shoe provides, is a little bit uncomfortable for me. Another thing that I'll say, and I think that I might have wide heels because this seems to be a problem that I run into sometimes with these shoes, but this one's heel is a little bit too narrow for me and I do get a little bit of pinching. Now part of that could be the way that this rubber outsole rises up onto your heel. Again, I think with a break-in period and with getting your feet in these things a lot, that's gonna go away over time, but initially that was something that was uncomfortable for me as well. And then obviously for this one, I don't like how it looks quite as much. Again, with the straps the way that they are, and even, you know, with this colorway, it's just very obvious that this is a shoe meant for the gym and not really for anywhere else.
Getting into my dislikes of the Teardrop Zero, the first one is going to be pretty exclusive to the strapped model, and it's just that the TPU cage and the places where the pass-throughs for the straps go make this thing very awkwardly rigid. So again, I think this specific shoe is very stationary, power lift move specific. That's what you're going to want to use this for, because when you try to do dynamic movements where you're bending and twisting, the placement of the TPU and the pass-throughs just makes it hard for this thing to bend. It really just doesn't want to do it. One example here is just trying to bend it up at the toes. It won't, because of this specific spot here with all the TPU reinforcement for the strap. It wants to bend after that, which is not naturally where your foot bends. So I would say if you're looking for a shoe that can be a really solid powerlifting shoe, but then you want the versatility of flexibility and freedom, definitely go with the knit model. The next thing I want to mention is the shape of the shoe. It's a little bit pointed for me. I wish it was a little bit more rounded. The good news is it's more rounded than Vivo Barefoot's Primus Light 3, which was so pointed I haven't been able to wear it enough to review it because I trip in it all the time. Even though it's technically the correct size for my foot, Vivo's run a little bit long, and I think it's because of how pointed that is. Matching these guys up at the heel, they're a very similar shoe. You'll notice how much longer the Vivo is, but if you look inside both of them, the Teardrop Zero is in a 10.5 US for me, but it says to the side of it that that's an EU 44 and 2/3. This is a 44, and it's definitely longer than the Drop Zero. The pointedness in the Drop Zero doesn't bother me nearly as much as it bothers me in the Vivo, but I still wish it was just a little bit less pointy and a little bit more rounded. I can definitely feel that extra length in the big toe. Neither of these dislikes I have mentioned are deal breakers for me when it comes to the Drop Zero. I absolutely love this shoe. I use it a lot for lifting, but I also use it a lot outside of lifting. I think it's a comfortable enough shoe and a good enough looking shoe that it can be worn casually without setting off too many social alarm bells. If you've been looking for this as a dedicated lifting shoe, but you want something that does a little bit more, I think it would be a super solid option for you. I'm extremely impressed with this shoe, and I love it. Another cool thing to mention is there will be other Barefoot models coming down the pipeline from Tier. We don't know when, we don't know any other details about what they look like, we just know that they're working on them, and that gets me really, really excited. With my dislikes and my final opinion out of the way, I'm going to pass things over to Eric to give us the outro of the video.
Alright folks, if you like that video, make sure that you're liked and subscribed to the channel. I always say this, but we have a ton more stuff coming down our pipeline. We've got no shortage of gear and shoes that we need to review. We're constantly going to be cranking these things out. So like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything that's coming out from us. There's different places online that you can find content from us. The first one is Patreon. A subscription to our Patreon is just $1 a month, and then you get exclusive content from us that we don't post anywhere else. We're also very active on Instagram. Whenever we get gear in, Chris does an unboxing video. He posts those on Instagram, so you can see an up-to-date take on the stuff that we're getting in our hands and starting to work with. And then come and follow us on Strava. We're building an awesome little community there, very like-minded, athletic individuals. It's a place where you can go and you can track all of your athletic pursuits, whether that's hiking or biking or swimming or paddling, whatever it is, you can put it on there and come and follow us. We'll follow you back and continue to build up that little community there and support each other in those activities. And we will see you in the mountains.